Section 223. Vaisampayana said, when the heroes of the Vrishni race began to speak repeatedly in this strain, Vasudeva uttered these words, pregnant with deep import and consistent with the true morality. Gudakesha, the conqueror of sleep, or he of the curly hair, by what he hath done, hath not insulted our family. He hath without doubt rather enhanced our respect. Partha knoweth that we of the Satvata race are never mercenary. The son of Pandu also regardeth a self-choice as doubtful in its results, who also would approve of accepting a bride in gift as if she were an animal. What man again is there on earth that would sell his offspring? I think Arjuna, seeing these faults in all the other methods, took the maiden away by force, according to the ordinance. This alliance is very proper. Subhadra is a renowned girl. Partha too possessed renown. Perhaps thinking of all this, Arjuna hath taken her away by force. Who is there that would not desire to have Arjuna for a friend, who is born in the race of Bharata, and the renowned Santanu, and the son also of the daughter of Kunti Bhoja? I do not see in all the worlds with Indra and the Rudras the person that can by force vanquish Partha in battle, except the three-eyed god Mahadeva. His car is well known. Yoked thereunto are those steeds of mine. Partha as a warrior is well known, and his lightness of hand is well known. Who shall be equal to him? Even this is my opinion. Go ahead cheerfully after Dhananjaya, and by conciliation stop him and bring him back. If Partha goes to his city after having vanquished us by force, our fame will be gone. There is no disgrace, however, in conciliation. Hearing, O monarch, those words of Vasudeva, they did as he directed. Stopped by them, Arjuna returned to Dwaraka and was united in marriage with Subhadra. Worshipped by the sons of Vrishni's race, Arjuna, sporting there as he pleased, passed a whole year in Dwaraka. The last year of his exile, the exalted one passed at the sacred region of Pushkara. After the 12 years were complete, he came back to Kandava Prastha. He approached the king first, and then worshipped the Brahmanas with respectful attention. At last the hero went on to Draupadi. Draupadi from jealousy spoke unto him, saying, Why tarest thou here, O son of Kunti? Go where the daughter of the Satvata race is. A second tie always relaxed the first one upon a faggot, and Krishna lamented much in this strain. But Dhananjaya pacified her repeatedly, asked her forgiveness, and returning soon unto where Subhadra, attired in red silk, was staying, Arjuna sent her into the inner apartments, dressed not as a queen, but in the simple garb of covered woman. But arrived at the palace, the renowned Subhadra looked handsomer in that dress. The celebrated Bhadra, of large and slightly red eyes, first worshipped Pritha. Kunti, from excess of affection, smelled the head of that girl of perfectly faultless features, and pronounced infinite blessing upon her. Then that girl of face, like the full moon, hastily went on to Draupadi and worshipped her, saying, I am thy maid. Krishna rose hastily and embraced the sister of Madhava from affection and said, Let thy husband be without a foe. Bhadra then with a delighted heart said unto Draupadi, So be it. From that time, O Janamejaya, those great warriors, the Pandavas, began to live happily, and Kunti also became very happy. Vaisampayana continued, When that scorcher of foes, this Keshava of pure soul and eyes like lotus petals, heard that the foremost of the Pandavas, his Arjuna, had reached his own excellent city of Indraprastha, he came thither, accompanied by Rama and, and the other heroes and great warriors of the Vrishni and the Handaka tribes, and by his brothers and sons and many other brave warriors. And Saurin came accompanied by a large army that protected him, and there came with Saurin that oppressor of foes, this the exceedingly liberal Akrura of great intelligence and renown, the generalissimo of the brave Vrishni host. And there also came Andrishti of great prowess, and Uddhava of great renown, of great intelligence, of great soul, and a disciple of Brihaspati, himself in mortals. And there also came Satyaka and Salyaka and Kritavarman and Satvata and Pradyumna and Samva and Nishata and Sanku and Sharudeshna and Jilli of great prowess, and Vipritu also, and Sarana of mighty arms and Gada, the foremost of learned men. These and many other Vrishnis and Bhojas and Handakas came to Indraprastha, bringing with them many nuptial presents. King Yudhishthira, hearing that Madhava had arrived, sent the twins out to receive him. Received by them, the Vrishni, host of great prosperity, entered Khandavaprastha, well adorned with flags and ensigns. The streets were well swept and watered and decked with floral wreaths and bunches. These were again sprinkled over with sandalwood water that was fragrant and cooling. Every part of the town was filled with the sweet scent of burning aloes, and the city was full of joyous and healthy people, and adorned with merchants and traders. That best of men, this Keshava, of mighty arms, accompanied by Rama and many of the Vrishnis, Andakas and Bhojas, having entered the town, was worshipped by the citizens and Brahmanas by thousands. At last, Keshava entered the palace of the king, which was like unto the mansion of Indra himself. Beholding Rama, Yudhishthira received him with due ceremonies. The king smelt the head of Keshava and embraced him. Govinda, gratified with the reception, humbly worshipped Yudhishthira. He also paid homage unto Bhima, that tiger among men. Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, then received the other principal men of the Vrishni and the Handaka tribes with due ceremonies. Yudhishthira reverentially worshipped some as his superiors and welcomed others as equals, and some he received with affection, and by some he was worshipped with reverence. Then Rishikesha, of great renown, gave unto the party of the bridegroom much wealth, and unto Subhadra he gave the nuptial presents that had been given to her by her relatives. Krishna gave unto the Pandavas 1,000 cars of gold furnished with rows of bells, and unto each of which were put 4 steeds driven well-trained charioteers. He also gave unto them 10,000 cows belonging to the country of Mathura, and yielding much milk, and are of excellent complexion. Well-pleased Janardana also gave them 1,000 mares with gold harness, and of color white as the beams of the moon. He also gave them 1,000 mules, all well-trained and possessing the speed of the wind, of white color with black manes, and he of eyes like lotus petals. Also gave unto them 1,000 damsels, well skilled in assisting at bathing and at drinking, young in years and virgins, all before their first season, well attired and of excellent complexion, each wearing 100 pieces of gold around her neck, of skins perfectly polished, decked with every ornament, and well skilled in every kind of personal service. Janardana also gave unto them hundreds of thousands of draft horses from the country of the Valhikas, as Subhadra's excellent dower, that foremost one of Dasharatha's race, also gave on to Subhadra, as per peculium, 10 carrier loads of first-class gold, possessing the splendor of fire, some purified and some in a state of ore. And Rama, having the plough for his weapon, and always loving bravery, gave on to Arjuna as a nuptial present 1,000 elephants with secretions flowing in 3 streams from the 3 parts of their bodies, the temple, the ears, and the anus. Each large has a mountain summit, irresistible in battle, decked with coverlets and earring bells, well adorned with other golden ornaments, and equipped with excellent thrones on their backs, and that large wave of wealth and gems. The Yadavas presented, together with the cloths and blankets that represented its foam, and the elephants, its alligators and sharks, and the flags, its floating weeds, swelling into large proportions, mingled with the Pandu ocean, and filled it to the brim, to the great sorrow of all foes. Yudhishthira accepted all those presents, and worshipped all those great warriors of the Vrishni and the Handaka races, those illustrious heroes of the Kuru, the Vrishni and the Handaka races, passed their days in pleasure and merriment there like virtuous men after death in the celestial regions. The Kuru and the Vrishnis with joyous hearts amused themselves there, setting up at times loud shout mingled with clappings of the hand, spending many days in sports and merriment there, and worshipped by the Kuru all the while. The Vrishni heroes, endued with great energy, then returned to the city of Dwaravati, and the great warriors of the Vrishni and the Handaka races set out with Rama in the van, carrying with them those gems of the purest race that had been given them by those foremost ones of Kuru's race. And O Bharata, the high-souled Vasudeva, remained there with Arjuna in the delightful city of Indraprastha, and the illustrious one wandered over the banks of the Yamuna in search of deer, and he sported with Arjuna, piercing with his shafts deer and wild boars. Then Subhadra, the favorite sister of Keshava, gave birth to an illustrious son, like Puloma's daughter, the queen of heaven, bringing forth Jayanta. And the son that Subhadra brought forth was of long arms, broad chest, and eyes as large as those of a bull. That hero and oppressor of foes came to be called Abhimanyu, and the son of Arjuna, that grinder of foes and bull among men, was called Abhimanyu, because he was fearless and wrathful, and that great warrior was begotten upon the daughter of the Satvata race by Dhananjaya, like fire produced in a sacrifice from within the semi-hood by the process of rubbing. Upon the birth of this child, Yudhishthira, the powerful son of Kunti, gave away unto Brahmanas 10,000 cows and coins of gold. The child from his earliest years became the favorite of Vasudeva and of his father and uncles, like the moon of all the people of the world. Upon his birth, Krishna performed the usual rites of infancy. The child began to grow up like the moon of the bright fortnight. That grinder of foes soon became conversant with the Vedas, and acquired from his father the science of weapon, both celestial and human, consisting of 4 branches and 10 divisions. Endued with great strength, the child also acquired the knowledge of counteracting the weapons hurled at him by others, and great lightness of hand and fleetness of motion, forward and backward, and transverse, and wheeling. Abhimanyu became like unto his father in knowledge of the scriptures and rites of religion. And Dhananjaya, beholding his son, became filled with joy, like Maghavat beholding Arjuna. The latter beheld his son Abhimanyu and became exceedingly happy. Abhimanyu possessed the power of slaying every foe and bore on his person every auspicious mark. He was invisible in battle and broad-shouldered as the bull, possessing a broad face as the wood of the snake. He was proud like the lion, wielding a large bow. His prowess was like that of an elephant in ruth, possessed of a face handsome as the full moon, and of a voice deep as the sound of the drum or the clouds. He was equal unto Krishna in bravery and energy, in beauty and in features. The auspicious Panchali also, from her 5 husbands, obtained 5 sons, all of whom were heroes of the foremost rank and immovable in battle like the hulls. Parthivindya by Yudhishthira, Sutasoma by Rikodara, Shrutakarman by Arjuna, Satanika by Nakula, and Shrutasena by Sahadeva. These were the 5 heroes and great warriors that Panchali brought forth, like Aditi bringing forth the Adityas and the Brahmanas from their foreknowledge, said unto Yudhishthira that as the son of his would be capable of bearing, like the Vindhya mountains, the weapons of the foe, you should be called Prativindya. And because the child that Draupadi bore to Bhimasena was born after Bhima had performed 1,000 Soma sacrifices, he came to be called Sutasoma. And because Arjuna's son was born upon his return from exile, during which he had achieved many celebrated feats, that child came to be called Shrutakarman, while Nakula named his son Satanika after a royal sage of that name in the illustrious race of Kuru. Again, the son that Draupadi bore to Sahadeva was born under the constellation called Vahni Daivata. Kirtika, therefore, was he called after the general Ismo of the celestial host, Shrutasena. Kartikeya. The sons of Draupadi were born each at the interval of 1 year, and all of them became renowned and much attached to one another. And O monarch, all their rites of infancy and childhood, such as Chudakarana and Upanayana, first shave of the head, and investiture with the sacred threads, were performed by Dhaumya according to the ordinance, all of them of excellent behavior and vows, after having studied the Vedas, acquired from Arjuna a knowledge of all the weapons, celestials and human. And O tiger among kings, the Pandavas, having obtained sons of all of whom were equal unto the children of the celestials, and endued with broad chests, all of whom became great warriors, were filled with joy. Thus ends the 223rd section in the Haranaharana Parva of the Adi Parva.